I once asked a Navy SEAL, "How do you prepare for war?" He looked me square in the eye and said, "You wake up before the world has a chance to test you." And right there, something inside me clicked. Because let me tell you something, discipline doesn't show up when the cameras are rolling. Discipline starts in the dark. It starts when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, no audience, just the sound of your own breath and a choice. Get up or stay down. You think greatness happens by accident. You think success wakes up at noon. Nah, success is up before the sun is, and not just once, every single day. It's up grinding before the world is even stretching its arms. Because here's the truth nobody wants to hear. If you can't master your morning, you'll never master your mission. You see, the moment you open your eyes, you're in a fight. A fight against the pillow, against procrastination, against that voice that whispers it's okay. Sleep a little more, you've earned it. But that voice is a thief. It's the enemy of every dream you've ever had, and the only way to silence it is to rise. Getting up early ain't about looking tough. It's about choosing purpose over pleasure. It's about telling your future, I'm coming for you, and I won't be late. Because every time you wake up early, you're not just getting ahead on your day, you're declaring war on mediocrity. People ask, what's the secret to success? I tell them, it ain't a secret. It's a schedule. It's what you do when the world is asleep. It's setting that alarm and answering it with commitment, not complaints. It's building trust with yourself. When you say you're gonna do something, you do it and don't think it has to be perfect. You're not always gonna feel ready. There'll be mornings when your body aches, your spirit is low, your mind's in a fog. But those mornings, those are the ones that count the most. Because every time you get up anyway, you're telling life, I'm still in this. You're telling fear, you don't own me. You're telling doubt, you picked the wrong one. Discipline before sunrise is about owning your day before it owns you. It's about showing up for your dreams like they matter, because they do. It's about building a reputation with yourself that says, when I rise with intention. And let me tell you, a man who keeps his word to himself is unstoppable. A woman who honors her discipline in the dark will shine in the light. So yeah, the bed is warm, but your dreams are waiting. The blanket feels safe, but your purpose is calling. The night is comfortable, but the morning is powerful, and the world belongs to those who have the courage to own it before the clock hits 6. There's something different about that hour before the world wakes up. It's not just quiet, it's sacred. You step outside and the air feels different. The sky still wears its night robe. The city hasn't found its voice yet, and in that stillness, you can finally hear yourself. I'm talking about a kind of silence that don't just hush the noise around you. It hushes the noise inside you too. The doubts, the distractions, the deadlines, gone. Just you, your thoughts, your breath, and the sound of your own soul whispering, let's begin. Because when the world is silent, clarity speaks louder. You see, most folks wake up into chaos, phone buzzing, news blasting, traffic roaring. They go from sleep to stress without a second to center themselves. But successful people, they start in silence, because they know that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of intention. That early hour is where vision lives. When you rise before the noise, you get to tune your mind before the world tunes it for you. You get to decide who you are before anyone else tells you. You get to sit at the table with your dreams and say, all right, what are we building today? I remember mornings where I'd sit in the dark with a notebook and a prayer. No music, no coffee, just stillness. And let me tell you some of my clearest thoughts, my boldest moves, my most honest truths. They came in that silence. That's when the mask comes off. That's when your ego steps aside. That's when you don't have to be anything but real. And in this world full of noise, being real, that's rare. That's power. You know what happens when you give yourself those moments of quiet. You start hearing things that were always there, but too faint to notice. You hear that voice that says you're capable of more. You hear the inner architect drawing blueprints for a bigger life. You hear God, the universe, whatever you believe in, reminding you that you were made for something more than just routine. But you can't hear that message at 100 decibels. You can't hear it when you wake up rushing. You hear it when you pause, when you rise early and give your spirit space to breathe. People underestimate what those quiet minutes can do. They think success is loud. They think it's fast. But I'm telling you, some of the loudest victories begin in the softest moments. That's why silence matters. Not just to escape the noise, but to return to yourself. Because in the stillness, there's no pretending. There's no performance. There's just the truth. And when you carry that truth into your day, you walk different. You speak with more weight. You live with more purpose. Because you didn't start your day lost in the noise. You started it grounded in who you really are, while the world is still sleeping. The successful are already moving. I mean, really think about that while others are deep in dreams, some folks are already building theirs. The streets are quiet. The sky is still dark. But somewhere there's a light on, a pen scratching across paper, feet pounding a sidewalk, a mind sharpening like a blade. Because some people don't wait for opportunity. They wake up and chase it before anybody else even puts on their shoes. You ever watch the sunrise while you're already dressed and working? It hits different. It's not just light creeping over the horizon. It's a reward. It's proof that you were first on the field ready to play, while everyone else was still fumbling for the snooze button. That's what separates the great from the good. See, good waits, good reacts, but great anticipates. Great gets there early. Great shows up ready, because they know that the earlier you start, the more ground you cover before the rest of the world even gets in your way. There's power in being up while everyone else is asleep. It's like the world hasn't placed its demands on you yet. No emails, no calls, no pressure. Just you and the open runway of potential. And you better believe that if you own those hours, you own the whole day. Let me break it down for you. Success doesn't happen in traffic. It happens in the quiet, in the sweat, in the hours nobody sees, and you know what? That's exactly why most people don't do it. Because nobody's clapping for you at 5 a.m. Nobody's posting about your grind when you're running in the cold, studying when your eyes burn, showing up early to chase a goal that only you believe in. But the successful, they don't do it for applause. They do it for alignment. They do it because they understand that while others are still dreaming, they're taking steps toward making those dreams real. People say life isn't fair, and yeah, they're right. But here's something even more real. Life favors the prepared, and when you wake up early, you're getting a head start. You're stacking wins while the competition is still in bed. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about being better than anyone else. This is about being better than you were yesterday. It's about looking yourself in the eye and saying, I refuse to start my day behind. Because the truth is, every morning gives you a choice. Wait for the world to push you into motion, or get ahead of it. And when you move while others sleep, you send a message, I'm serious, I'm committed, I'm coming for what's mine. So while the world is still dreaming, still sleeping, still stalling, you're rising. And rising early is not just a habit, it's a declaration. A declaration that you are not here to be average. You are here to lead, to build, to become. The morning don't lie. When you wake up before the noise, before the emails, before the expectations, there's no performance. It's just you and the mirror, and that mirror, it don't care about your title. It don't care how many likes you got on your last post. It don't care about the mask you wear for the world. In that early morning stillness, you meet the real you. And sometimes that reflection stares back tired. Sometimes it stares back with disappointment. But sometimes, if you've been doing the work, it looks back proud, because that's what the morning gives you. Truth unfiltered, undistracted, uncomfortable sometimes, but real. You ever notice how honest the quiet feels? Like the world hasn't had a chance to lie to you yet. You haven't been told who to be, what to chase, what to compare yourself to. You're just there with your breath, your face, your thoughts, and in that mirror you get to ask the question, am I doing right by me? That's a powerful question, and it's one most folks avoid. They sleep right through it. They fill their days with noise, with movement, with distractions, anything to avoid facing themselves. But when you rise early, when it's just you and that reflection, you can't hide. You either look yourself in the eye with honesty or you look away in regret. And it's not about perfection. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about showing up for yourself before the world asks you to show up for anyone else. Because how are you going to lead others if you can't even lead the person in the mirror? I've stood in front of that mirror plenty of times, sometimes proud, sometimes ashamed. But every time I stood there early in the morning, I had the chance to choose better. To say, today, I step up. Today, I move with purpose. Today, I show up different. That mirror, don't forget, it remembers the promises you made to yourself. It remembers the ones you broke. But it also remembers the days you decided to be stronger, sharper, more committed than you were the day before. And when you look yourself in the eye, day after day, early before the world interferes, something starts to change. You stop waiting for motivation and you start respecting yourself. You stop wishing for change and you become the change. Because every morning you rise early and face yourself without excuses, without distractions. That's a small victory, and enough of those, they stack up into character, into self-respect, into a life that doesn't just look good from the outside, but feels solid from the inside. And when you walk out that door after facing that mirror and passing the test, you walk out stronger, you speak clearer, you move with a quiet kind of power, because you already faced the hardest person to face, and you did it before the sun came up. Every early morning is a seed. You may not see it grow right away. You may not feel different the first week, maybe not even the first month. But every time you rise with purpose, every time you show up before the world wakes, you're planting something. And with time, that seed becomes discipline, that discipline becomes character, and that character, that becomes legacy, because intention is where it all begins. It's the quiet voice that says, I want more out of this life, not more stuff, more meaning. And in those early hours before the chaos, before the roles you have to play, that intention has room to breathe. It's not being drowned out by the noise of the world. It's being nurtured. It's being shaped. And slowly, day by day, that little voice becomes a roar. You start to live different when you rise with purpose. You stop moving just to move. You start aiming. You start building days that actually mean something. And those days, they stack. You stack enough intentional days, and you don't just create results. You create legacy. Legacy ain't about your name on a building. It's not about being remembered for a moment. It's about what you leave behind in people, not just for people. It's the impact. It's the story people tell about how you carried yourself when nobody was watching. And that story, that's written in the early hours. That's where it starts, because anybody can be loud in a crowd. Anybody can show up when the cameras are rolling. But legacy is built in the dark. It's built when you choose intention over indulgence. It's built when you wake up and put your purpose in motion before the world has a chance to distract you. Let me tell you, one day, someone's going to ask how you did it, how you stayed focused, how you got stronger, how you built something that mattered, and you're going to look back and say, I didn't wait for perfect. I didn't wait for the spotlight. I got up early. I got up with intention. I got up when it was hard. Because your legacy is not one big moment, it's a collection of small ones. It's the decision to rise when nobody would blame you for resting. It's the decision to work quietly, to believe privately, to push consistently. It's not just how high you climbed, but how early you started climbing. That's the thing, you don't have to be loud to be legendary. You just have to be intentional, and the early hours, that's where intentions turn into action. That's where the blueprint becomes the building. That's where potential becomes progress. So every time you wake up with a fire in your chest and a vision in your heart, just remember, you're not just starting a day, you're building a legacy one sunrise at a time. So let me leave you with this: success doesn't start with talent. It doesn't start with luck. It starts with a choice to rise when it's hard, to show up when it's quiet, to believe before the results. To stand in that darkness before the dawn and say, I'm ready. Waking up early isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about proving to yourself, day after day, that your dreams are worth more than your comfort. That your purpose is stronger than your excuses. That your future is too important to sleep through. Every morning is an invitation to lead, to grow, to build, to become. And every time you answer that call, you send a message to the world. I will not wait to be chosen. I choose myself. I will not wait for motivation. I move with discipline. I will not live on autopilot. I will live on fire. So when that alarm goes off tomorrow, don't just roll over. Don't just reach for the snooze. Rise, rise like someone who knows the value of time. Rise like someone who's chasing legacy. Rise like someone who's not just living, but leading their life, because the world belongs to those who own their mornings. And your greatness, it's waiting for you in the dark, right before the light. All you gotta do is get up and go get it.